each cell has its own compressor and its own send to a couple of effects units. So my delay and my reverb. And if I'm looking for these effects, I'm wondering where they are, then if I click on this master tab here, that's where I'll find my master reverb and master delay settings, as well as master settings for the whole instrument, filters, EQs, compressors. TM stands for transient master, so this is quite good for giving sounds a little bit extra punch, or maybe a little bit extra sustain, or even shortening the sound and tightening up the tail end of sounds. Plus we can use saturation emulator here and a limiter at the end of the chain, just to really gel everything together, give a slight overdriven feeling using one of these different algorithms, and just prevent any overs at the final output stage. So these are our master effects, but we'll also find effects for each cell as well. So by clicking on any of these cells, we'll see here settings for, again, saturation, lo-fi, so adjusting the bit depth and the sample rate, the filter or EQ settings, and we have a lot of different possibilities here: high pass, low pass, band pass, etc., as well as some of these performant filters, which can be particularly good for emulating vocal types of effects and so on, and a compressor and a transient master. So a lot of sound design possibilities there. But maybe what we could also do is incorporate one more sound which we'll use as a long sustained sound, which really shows off some of the modulation possibilities of the instrument. So I'm just going to find one more sound from my hard drive, and let's introduce these as something that we can work with to show some modulation possibilities. So again, this is obviously a kind of very old school type of sounds, but the fact that it's a nice bright sound which we would like to loop around, this means that I can show off the possibilities of my filters and so on. So what would happen if I wanted to firstly loop this and then apply modulation? Let's go into the editor tab and select our loop range. Firstly, I'm going to make sure that the sample only plays around the portion that I'm looking for, and I'm going to click on this loop tab and I'm going to add a loop, and as you'll see, that loop has just been created for me, and I'm going to set that so that's now a looping sample. But what I'd also like to do is control the volume using the volume envelope and perhaps apply some modulation such as a filter cutoff. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my main tab here and turn on the volume envelope so that this becomes a gate. As you can see, I could control the length of the note to anything that I wanted, but I'm going to set that up to be a gate, and I'm also going to go into my modulation tab here in order to set up some kind of way of controlling a filter. So my modulation sources are over here, and I have 8 of those and 8 potential destinations. So what we could do is use our modulation envelope down here, and you can see, as well as these LFOs and various other external MIDI controls, my modulation envelope. So this is now going to control whatever we assign here. So if I go into my filter and select cutoff, so what I need to do now is find my filter and adjust the basic setting for that. So if I click on the effects, remember this is the effects for this cell that we're dealing with, and here is the filter. Let's bring that filter cutoff down, and now reduce the envelope shape to whatever we want it to be. That could be quite a nice little extra sound to have as part of my drum set. If I wanted to assign another mod source to another one of these cells, that would be quite simple. I would just go ahead and select the relevant cell. In this case we'll select a snare, and what we'll do is we'll adjust the filter cutoff using a velocity. So if we go to our modulation tab here, we can set that up by selecting velocity as a source and filter cutoff as our destination. And I'll also need to go into my effects and turn my filter on. You can see and hear now that a different velocity produces a different sound, a different filter cutoff. What I might also want to do is adjust this value here so that the velocity doesn't also control the volume. And in this way what I can do is for each cell build up various different types of individual effects and global effects that put together a unique kit that I've made out of my own selection of samples.